If we as leaders fulfill our commitments and our promises, then this is the dawning of a new day. Welcome to our New York. Welcome to our future. Thank you.
All right, Governor Kathy Hochul then played off by Taylor Swift's Welcome to New York song after giving the State of the State speech today. It featured some bold proposals and also some acknowledgments that there is a lot of work still to do in that building there at the state capitol. Joining me live here tonight with some analysis on all of this is our 7 News political analyst, Bob McCarthy. Bob, always great to have you here. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and in
sir.
terms of, the way these State of the State addresses work, right, is you oftentimes get a list of all the things we accomplished over the last year, and then you talk about some of the proposals that are still to come. A big one is housing, and the governor tying this directly to affordability and why so many people have been leaving the state of New York. What did you make, and what should we know about what the governor is saying about housing?
Well, Michael, I thought it was a very interesting tactic that she used to tie this to the out-migration problem that many conservatives and many Republicans hammer her for all the time. So I think she said one of the reasons that people are leaving is not because of the weather, or it's not because of taxes, it's because there's not an affordable place for so many people to live, especially in New York City. So I think she kind of put this back over on some of the opponents to these programs in the past, say, all right, come on, this is a problem that we need to address, and this is one way that we can do it is through housing. So I think that was an interesting tactic that she used today.
Yeah, Republicans were critical of the governor, specifically on housing, some of them coming out today saying we didn't get enough specifics on how to actually tackle this. Of course, they would tie taxes to the issue of out-migration as well. But it's not so much the focus of the governor working with Republicans, because Democrats have supermajorities in both houses, right? It's really about the governor, who is somewhat of a moderate, working with the progressives in this state.
That's her new, shall we say, loyal opposition, is the progressives. It's not Republicans anymore. They're kind of out of the picture as far as the state capitol goes. But she has to deal with a very loud and powerful progressive caucus, mostly from New York City, some right here from Buffalo too, that she has to placate without raising taxes. And that's maybe her biggest challenge that she faces, I think.
A few of the other proposals, we've talked a lot about crime over the past few years. Crime was a huge issue when the governor ran, and the race was a lot closer with Lee Zeldin than many of us thought it was going to be. Violent crime has gone down substantially in the state of New York, but we still have so much retail crime out there, and a lot of crime that just affects everybody's quality of life. The governor coming out and saying she wants this task force, this joint operation, also state police leading a new force. That is one that it would seem a lot of people can get around no matter your politics.
I think so too, especially when you see so many large retailers that are leaving downtown cores because of this problem of retail theft. And I think that she has said that she looked towards what was done with illegal guns, with task force, with federal, state, and local task force coming together, plus a new state police unit on this. She put this right at the top of her agenda. She knows this is an important thing that she has to address. Crime is something that still remains at the main concern for so many people in this state. She was smart enough also to put that at the top of her agenda, the first thing she really mentioned in her speech today.
Finally, one of the things that was not mentioned, except to say, I'll talk more about this later, was the migrant crisis. The governor saying that we'll get some proposals on that when she releases her budget presentation. Obviously, there are financial considerations to go with how to deal with the migrant crisis. How do you anticipate that's going to play out, and any idea of what we may see from her?
Well, we saw that play out in the county executive election here this year, where it was the main issue. She's going to have to deal with it, but I think she's probably also dealing very closely with Washington to see what kind of help we can get out of D.C. on this. That hasn't happened so far to her satisfaction anyway, but I do think that that may be what is holding up her details on this. But it's going to cost a lot of money, and some of it's going to have to come from Albany too.
Also, some really interesting proposals today in terms of mental health care generally, child care. So I think there are a lot of things we're going to be digging into over the coming days as we digest this. 7 News political analyst Bob McCarthy, thanks so much for sharing your insights.
Michael, yes.